Welcome in, everybody. Today we're here to cover some predictions for One Piece Chapter 1177. I know this week was very live-action centric, and I'm still kind of working on a video for it, but, we're about to get back into the manga sphere of things, so I wanted to go through some predictions, because also we had a break week, right? And I feel like with where we're at in the arc, it's a good time to do some predictions, kind of like last time, So I wanted to go through some. Also, for anybody who's tuning in and they're wondering why the thumbnail's weird, if it is weird for you, if it's still a live action one, I changed it in studio, but whenever I just shared it, it had the old live action one. I don't know why. Hopefully that fixes sometime soon, but we're definitely here to talk about the manga this time. So if you're a live action watcher, get out of here right now is my advice for you. But thank you all for being here, or at least who's here thus far. I know this is kind of random, because usually I don't stream at this time or week. I kind of did last time we did a prediction stream, but usually I don't. So thank you guys for pulling up, anyone who's here already. Also, shout out to everybody who's here real quick. I did want to mention to you guys that we actually just had an announcement earlier today about the One Piece TCG. For those of you who are interested, we had an announcement about the next manga rares for the next set, and also what the following set is after that. So OP16 is a Marineford set, and we're getting the 3 OG Admirals in a manga rare this time, which is super cool. And Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji are all like sitting on like their chairs, right, from when they're all 3 sitting on it. So now they each got a card with them sitting down, which is just super peak. That'll be out in a few months, I think, this summer. But then OP17 is going to be an LBAF set. So anybody who's a fan of the TCG, we got a lot to look forward to. I'm hoping for a Loki manga rare, maybe a Rocks manga rare. I don't know. I feel like I'm asking for a lot, but it's hype news either way. So I wanted to let you guys know. I think they revealed some other cards from the sets too, if you guys want to go check it out. But thought that was just cool. So. But all right, guys. So now for these predictions, so it's gonna be a pretty chill, laid-back stream, kind of like last time. If you guys have any predictions, just go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll kind of just, if one stands out to me, I'll throw it on the list. Last time, I think it was 25th Slayer. I can't remember what their prediction was, but I know they did predict something. So, and obviously, if your prediction, it's hard to guess what's actually going to happen in the next chapter, but if you have a good prediction for the arc, or that'll happen soon nonetheless, definitely throw it in here. But for my first prediction, I think we're going to get back to Brook and Imu. The last chapter was very focused on, Loki's devil fruit, and it kind of ended with Imu being upset, right? At basically, well, not being upset. Sorry, that was last chapter. This chapter ended with the Domi reversy stuff, but the chapter before ended with Imu being upset about the devil fruit, right? And we haven't really gone back to Imu since then, because Imu was like, wait, the fruit, it's been here the whole time, or whatever, right? And we've kind of dipped away since then, and all last chapter was, the Frankie stuff, which was awesome, and the Domi reversy stuff with Dory and Brogy. So we went away from it for long enough. And I feel like now it's time for us to get back to Imu. So I think we're going to get back to Brook and Imu. Also because, Brook's been MIA, right? We've seen Imu or Gunkmu, whatever you prefer, a few times. But Brook hasn't been there, right? The last couple times we saw Imu. So it's like, where did Brook go? I would assume Brook is, tied up again, or got defeated, or knocked off the branch or something. But I can see the next chapter starting with Brook being like, hey, I'm not done with you. Pay attention. We got to figure stuff out, So I don't know. I feel like we got to get back to them. That's kind of my big. It's not like a huge prediction, because obviously it's going to happen eventually. But I feel like next chapter is the time. Tosmorn, glad to see you, brother. You said Usopp snipes Imu. I'm gonna put that on here. Because I do think that's gonna. I'll put it in all caps. I do think that's gonna happen. Maybe not next chapter, we'll see. But eventually I do think that'll happen. We kind of already saw it a little bit, right? Where Usopp, remember when, Gunko first got, Usopp took a shot right at Gunko and was like, oh, you're a zombie or whatever, right? So it's kind of already happened. It just hasn't happened with Imu in there. So I can see Imu, I don't know if Imu's going to be, threatening Brook, or I don't even know. But there might be some moment where Usopp just shoots, Imu just to get them to pause and kind of, buy some time, essentially. So I like that. I like that one. Captain Golden Boy in the chat. Captain Golden Boy, brother, I appreciate you for sliding in, man. How did you like the live action, by the way? I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it yet, Golden Boy, but I was a huge fan. I was a very, very huge fan of it. I liked a lot of the canonical changes, but yeah, let me know. And also let me know if you got any predictions for the next chapter. Plume Black Hat, you said, my prediction is that Summers gets back up and gives us a show. So you don't, I mean, Summers isn't dead. We kind of already know that. So, we definitely have some more coming from Summers at some point this arc, I'll just put in Cooks. How about that? That'll work. And I'm curious, guys, what you think, because I mentioned this like at the very end of my last video, and I haven't seen too many comments about it, but I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys think that lightning is a weakness of the Gods Knights? And now I'm not saying that lightning is the end-all, be-all, like, oh, if anybody with lightning will be able to kill them instantly, like, I don't think it's like that straightforward, but I think it is like a weakness for them. Because the logic behind this is obviously, Loki killed Herald with a lightning strike. Luffy just punched Summers with a lightning fist, and that's when his powers deactivated, right? They didn't deactivate earlier in the arc when Scopper cut him in half, because Robin was already caught in the thorns at that point, but they did not go away whenever he got cut by Scopper. But they did go away when Luffy punched him with the lightning, at least around the children, right? So I don't know if that's maybe hinting that lightning is a weakness, but I was kind of reflecting on this after the chapter, or after I released the video, honestly, and I was like, why would lightning be a weakness? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, what connection do they have with lightning? But then it kind of hit me. We have hockey lightning, right? Whenever you use conquerors or sometimes armament, it's not like super foolproof, right? So a little bit wishy-washy, but we definitely have seen many times that strong hockey has like this black lightning effect to it, right? And I feel like for the longest time, we just kind of took it as like a cool effect and didn't really think about it much. But what if that like kind of is actual lightning in some way, or at least is really connected to real lightning, and that explains why lightning would be a weakness to them, because it's almost like a strong version of hockey in a way, or they're connected, right? Again, I don't know how far this is gonna go. I just think it's weird now that we've seen two Gods Knights be nullified, you can say, by lightning, right? And so I don't know. Quackvors? There's no way I'm saying your name right, but there was also an odd lightning strike on the mural. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that lightning strike is also hitting what is probably the Atom Tree. And so I think that's interesting too, just to kind of build the lore between all these things together, you know what I mean? Rapo, you said Enel fought Imu. I think so, or if not, Enel at least fought a God's Knight, or if not that, I think Enel fought like somebody who was in cahoots with the government, like, because there's levels to it, right? There's King Bakori, which is the bottom level, where he's not like controlled by Imu, but he's just like a puppet leader for them. Then you have Herald, who literally is controlled by Imu, and then you have Imu themselves. There's sort of levels to it. I think Enel would have fought one of those guys, and I like the idea that he actually beat a God's Knight, because if lightning is, some kind of like trick to beating them, that sort of flips what we saw with him and Luffy on its head, right? Because like maybe the reason Enel thinks that he's a god is because he killed someone else who was acting like a god, like who had all this regeneration and was super strong and all that. But then Enel defeated them, and he's like, well, I'm God then, if I can beat that guy. And then if Luffy comes over and beats him, then it's just, I feel like that's a cool through line. So I do think so. That's kind of what I was talking about in my last video. I went a lot more in depth on it, but I know it sounds crazy, but I really do think Enel beat somebody close to like I said, the God's Knights, or whether it's someone controlled by Imu directly, or just a regular God's Knight, or a puppet leader. I think there's definitely something. In Tosmorn, you said like nerve damage pain. That could be it too, like something with that. Or even like you could look at it like the reverse of an L, where an L was able to restart his heart with his powers. It's almost like you're like stopping that, you know what I'm saying? Like you're like he's forcing them to just stop, you know, circulating. I don't know. Captain Golden Boy, you said, I need to review your Enel vid, but my gut's telling me he didn't fight an Emu character. He is the Emu character. Well, to give you a little bit of a teaser on why that situation definitely had to be more than we think right now. So when McKinley told us that Enel destroyed Burka, well, he said 6 years ago, but it's 8 years now. Whenever he said that Enel destroyed it, well, the Arc Maxim didn't exist yet, and McKinley even said it like we can't repeat the same thing that happened in Burka. Well, we already know it's not a repeat, at least a complete repeat, because Enel needed the Arc Maxim to destroy Skypiea. It was like an amplifier for him, but he didn't have that back then. So we know that Burka, bare minimum, had to be a different story than just like Enel blew it up because he was angry, right? There has to be more to it. Whether that's, you know, there's another machine there or Enel got involved, right? There's definitely more to that story. But I do agree he's the Emu character. But where I think Oda's going with it is just like whatever happened in Burka is like Burka is to Enel as the Ancient Kingdom is to Emu, if that makes sense. Like I think whatever Enel did in Burka is what turned him into the godly figure that he thinks he is now. And the same thing happened with Emu. Like, he took down some kind of civilization back then, and he believes himself to be a god as a result of it, right? That's kind of where I'm at. Kanu, welcome. I saw you just pull up, too. Appreciate you. And Kuya. Man, everyone's here. Appreciate you guys for sliding in. I kind of like doing these, like, fun little prediction streams or just kind of theory, you know, streams. Specifically on like Sunday afternoons. The thing is usually like Roger's base reacts and then Randy reacts right afterward. And then I guess I could do it after that, but usually by that point like the Cavs are playing or something, or during football season something's going on, so I usually don't think of it. But today was a break week, so it was a perfect opportunity, so appreciate you guys. Nick Ilvento, my guy, member for 20 months. You said only Domi reversy people can kill or undo the curse. So you're saying, like, in order to stop a Domi reversy person, another Domi reversy person needs to fight them? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Because I guess that's what we saw at the end of last chapter. I didn't really think of it that way. But that is kind of, that is maybe the situation, like... I wonder what that effect would be. Like, why is that the case? Is it just that they have the proper amount of strength or hockey or something to do it? Or is there some other deeper theme to it? I don't know. I like it, though. I'm gonna put it on the list. I don't know if that's something we'll find out directly in the next chapter, but I like that nonetheless. So I want to put it on here so we, so that way we have a place for it, you know, in case it does come true. Only Domi reversy can kill Domi reversy. Also, I saw JJ in the chat. John Sherrod, welcome. John Sherrod on all socials. 1177 prediction. Topman comes to Elbaf to even the odds. I can't put that one on there. If that comes true, you're getting a shout out anyway. So, you know, I don't have to put it on the list. It's implied. Every chapter has an implied Topman prediction from JJ for sure. Also, Dill, you said, not me just lurking and listening. Dill, I appreciate you. Appreciate you even taking the time to listen. Kuya, Lopman's gonna die. That one's going on the list. That one's got to get it. That one's got to get a spot for sure. For sure. Whenever that one comes true, it won't be next chapter, but you know, when it comes true, you're gonna get some flowers for sure. But yeah, I do think that's interesting about the Domi reversy thing. Do you guys have any other kind of thoughts or theories on on why everything happened the way we just saw it. You know, I think Nick could honestly be right. It could be as simple as that. But I've heard other ideas, like trying to phrase it appropriately, because they definitely phrased it better than I'm about to. But it could be like you truly have to believe yourself to be dead, like, because like they obviously were fully like intent on dying in that specific moment, and like they thought they were dead because they cut each other's heads off. Now again, they regenerate, so like in theory cutting your head off shouldn't really end it, but they believed that they were gonna die. And so I've heard that before, because I mean belief and all that's a pretty big theme of One Piece. I don't know if I really get behind that personally, but that was another way of looking at it, you know. Kanu, you said Usopp lifts Ragnar. I'll put that on here. I don't think that's gonna happen next chapter, but Plume Black Cat, you said Dax is anti-Topman. I'm of the most anti-Topman, for sure. Honestly, like, you know, in theory, I'm anti all Gorosei, or I should be. We all probably should be. But especially Topman. And it all started because I thought Topman had the worst design. That's really where this all started. And then we had the debate on whose designs are good, and then, you know, JJ's always loved Topman, so he was in there standing him big time. So that's really where it started. Cloud Lizard, thank you for pulling up. Appreciate you. We were just talking earlier about the next One Piece TCG sets. I genuinely can't wait for the Elbaf set. I think that is going to be one of the best sets ever, and it's like an anniversary set, which is always really good. I saw another prediction I wanted to throw on here. Oh yeah, Dill, thank you for mentioning that too. It's also because JJ, well, I forget exactly how we really got to it, but JJ is also anti-Laboon, which is a problem. I like to think he's joking, but now I'm not sure. Schloop, I like that one. I'm gonna put that on here. Usopp uses observation haki. I think that is... I think the biggest problem with it is just that Usopp's been so not involved in the arc, right? Like, we've seen him, but he hasn't done anything impressive. If anything, I would say that Oda's gone out of his way to make him look not impressive. So, you know, eventually we're going to get to this point to where Usopp does some important stuff and gets some feats. I don't know if it'll happen soon, but I think him using observation haki, again, is like... It's almost like the bare minimum for him, is kind of how I think of it. Like, because we already saw it in Dressrosa, so we know he has it. And I feel like if he's really going to step up and do something big, like, he at least needs to incorporate the power-up he already has. You know what I mean? Plume Black Hat, you said, does Sanji have what it takes to take down Killingham? That's a good question. So... And I've heard a lot of talk about this from the last chapter, because like we didn't really see the aftermath of the Killingham thing. So I think some people might be presuming that, you know, Killingham is defeated, or, you know, at least in some dire straits after that. I think there's a decent chance that he just gets up and he's just like regenerates and he's okay. I'm not sold on that, but I think there's a chance of it. As far as him kind of taking out Killingham, like, in general, for starters, I don't think that's the best fight for Sanji. Not that it'd be like a bad one or anything, but I would I was thinking that Usopp would be a good one, because like I would want to see Usopp's nightmare, which I feel like would be Soge King, and maybe Usopp kind of going back to Perona, he could control his nightmare and use it to his advantage or something crazy, right? I think that'd be fun. But as far as Sanji, like, I do think he's going to have Conquerors. You know, we didn't see the aftermath of that discussion with Scopper. So maybe this fight with Killingham, or even this attack, will sort of be like our introduction to Sanji's Conquerors Haki arc in a way. But now the question is like, is he already using it? Because if he's already using it, then Killingham probably would be hurt for real, right? And that might be his fight or whatever. But but I don't know. I could, like I was saying, I could see Killingham just regenerate and be like, "Oh, you aren't even using Conqueror's Hockey yet." I feel like that'd be fitting. But I could also see him just being hurt, and then it could be like, "Oh, I didn't know you had Conquerors too." So either way, we can start that discussion whether he heals or not. So I'm really not sure. The one thing I will say is, going back to our discussion about the lightning. Well, Sanji has fire in his attacks, right? Not lightning, but fire. And you'll remember that earlier in the arc, we learned that fire and lightning were the two biggest weaknesses of Elbaf. Now, the Gods Knights are not, like the same as Elbaf, obviously. But if they are weak to lightning, it would start making me think, like, is fire potentially an option too, somehow? I'm trying to think of like more connections. Like I mentioned earlier, like how, like for lightning, hockey has lightning sometimes too. Sometimes there's fire too, right? Like at least fire looking things. I mean, if you look in the anime, we have aura like everywhere. And Luffy's even been able to like conjure up fire for some of his attacks, like even like, Red Rock, obviously. So I don't know if that could maybe be part of it. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool, but I see some of you talking about it. I do agree that Sanji does have Conquerors, though. I just really wonder how that's going to manifest, because the way that it was introduced, it's going to be something a little bit different than the usual, I feel like. GG's Boxcar, my goat, member for 16 months. I predict that Dak will read the chapter. You know what? I'm not even gonna put it on the list because you're right. You're right. Gigi actually had the first correct prediction of this entire stream, even before the chapter came out. That's pretty crazy. And also, I already told you this, Gigi, but Gigi is a big Max Strus fan from my Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you guys follow the NBA, Max Strus has not played all year, but he's making his season debut today. In about less than 2 hours from now, we will see Max Strus on the basketball court. And I'm looking forward to it. Even though half our team is injured other than that, still looking forward to it nonetheless. Dill, you said Dak drop One Piece? Come on now. Come on, you know me better than that, Dill. Alex, he said, I assume the library crew will try to dogpile Killingham with Sanji. I think that's a pretty good. I think there's a good chance of that. Like, it could be that, or it might be Sanji's like, let me take him on my own. You guys go figure other things out, I think that's also a very strong possibility. And actually, I hate to even speak this. Actually, never mind. I was about to speak something into existence that I didn't want to happen, but now I realize it's not going to happen. I was about to say, well, maybe Sanji takes Killingham and then Jinbei goes and helps put the fire out, because we always get Fireman Jinbei. That's like Oda's favorite thing, is to have Jinbei put out fires. But I forgot they're already all out because of Frankie. So that won't happen, thankfully. So maybe Jinbei and Frankie can go do something else. I don't know. Also, Gigi's Boxcar with the 5 gifted memberships. W's in the chat for the GOAT Gigi. Gigi, seriously, thank you very, very much. Welcome, Soulflake, Tazmorn, yet again, Jiggly101, Kunal, and Supa Dupa Danko. I think I'm saying those names right. Everyone, welcome to the Afro Gang. Appreciate you. And actually, guys, I just posted yesterday about the next TCG giveaway, so if you just got a membership, or if you're a member in general, go over to the community tab. All you got to do is comment on that members only post, and you can be entered for some free cards. The next set is a Enel set, Skypiea focus set. So there's some pretty dope cards in there if you want to get in on that giveaway whenever I open those boxes. For sure, go check it out. Yeah, GG's the GOAT. Appreciate you. Let's see. I want to get some more predictions here on the board here. Soulflake, you said maybe Sanji has the ability to completely erase his haki. That's what Gabon told him. That I agree. Like, he has it. He can just hide it because he's a stealth guy, right? And so Gabon's like, I sense 0 haki on you. Like, because it also inverts Zoro, right? Because Zoro, like, Gabon was like, oh, I can sense the Conqueror's haki everywhere. Like, can't you feel it? It's just oozing out of you. So it would make sense if Sanji would be the complete opposite, where he has just as much haki, but he's not losing any of it. He's not letting anyone know that, you know, he has it. I think that makes a lot of sense. Narukami, you said, did you see the 1-of-1 Luffy that the world champion got? No, I'm going to go look it up right now. 1-of-1 Luffy world champion TCG. Let's see if I can find it. Geez, a lot now. See, because there's ones from past years. Now I don't know what the new one looks like. I see this one for 2024, which looks amazing. What did the art look like on it? Was it the Egghead one was last year, right? I'm not sure. I want to see that though. Some of those cards they give away in the tournaments are like some of the best ones. Let's see. Quackvors, I know I'm not saying it right. I'm so sorry, but you said Bonnie will de-age Jarl and he'll do Hakoku sovereignty with Loki. Oh, dude. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But that's going on the list. I don't know. I don't know if that's a common theory that people have been throwing around and I have just missed it. But Bonnie de-aging Jarl, dude, sign me up. There's no way I'm spelling sovereignty right, but that's okay. We can just go for it. I love that. That's something that Oda's gonna do. The more I think about it, like the Hakoku sovereignty part, maybe not. Like I like that idea, but I could see him, because like I could see Howardine and Loki doing it too. Now Howardine may not be on the same level as Loki or de-aged Jarl, to be fair, but either way, I think that at least him getting de-aged that's gotta happen. There's no way that Oda's gonna have the girl that can de-age somebody on the same island as the oldest living giant and not let us see him in his prime. There's no way. That is so happening. You know, this list isn't really like in any kind of order. It's just kind of whatever, but I'm actually gonna elevate this to the top. I'm gonna put it above my own. I like that one so much. And also, I'm just a big Jarl fan, so that's half my hype for it too. You know, I've been saying for a long time that Jarl met Noland back in the day, because Jarl is old enough to have met Mont Blanc Noland, and we obviously, you know, Noland is like an Usopp parallel. Usopp's closely tied to the Giants. We already know that Noland was in the New World because he was in Dressrosa. It would make perfect sense if he pulled up to Elbaf at some point, especially with the Skypiea connections, right? So look, if we can get de-aged Jarl, and he can, like, I don't know what he would say, but if he can have some callback to Noland for some reason in that moment, like, because, like, he's not going to get de-aged enough to where he's going to be, like, the age that he was when he met Noland, because he would have met him when he was, like, 8 or something like that, or 7. So, but I don't know, but I feel like that could be, that there could be something there. I don't know. I love that, though. Seriously, that de-aging Jarl, man, that's happening. That is canon as far as I'm concerned. I almost said as far as I'm confirmed. It's also confirmed. And that's the thing, is like, I feel like with Bonnie's powers, you can always kind of throw in a theory like, oh, they're going to de-age this person or age up this young person so that way they can fight. And like, I feel like there's a lot of like examples you could think of for that, at least like compared to some of the past arcs and stuff. Like we kind of saw that with in Wano with Shinobu, but she obviously, her power is a little bit different. But we kind of saw that same idea where she aged up Momo, so he was like more capable. Like, there's a lot of instances throughout the story where this could fit, but de-aging Jarl specifically is like the best one, you know. And I don't think Oda's gonna want to do it too often, where he de-ages old people or ages up young people. He's gonna pick his moments. And Jarl is like the best moment, because we also just heard a couple chapters ago, I forget, was it one of the giants was telling, was it Haradin, like, oh, he was the strongest in these seas like 300 years ago or something like that. Let me go down and see if I can find it. I think it was a couple chapters ago. Maybe I can't find it. I thought it was down here. I don't know, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Haradin was telling Zoro. That was it. 300 years ago, he was known as the strongest being to ever hail from these waters. So 300 years ago, so that means he would be getting de-aged to where he's like 108, because he's like 408 right now, right? Let me go look this up. Something like that. How old is Ja Rule? 408. I was right. So he'd be getting de-aged about 108, and that's like pretty close to Nolan's time. So maybe that is where it's going to come in, right? If he gets de-aged 300 years, that's pretty nice. Oh yeah, Newport's Poppy, you said aged up Colin would be a monster as well. I like that. That would be cool too. I'm not as confident about that, because like I said, Oda can't just keep doing it over and over. But that would be cool too. I wouldn't mind seeing both. Aged up Colin. But what if... Wait. Aged up Colin and aged down Jarl team up for Hokoku sovereignty. Like the different generations. I kind of like that. I think that one I like more than him teaming up with Loki or even Haradin theoretically. Because just the young and old, right? That, oh man. I love that. Because it would, I don't know how to like really word it, but it's like you would get to see, you would get a glimpse that like Colin will be as strong as, or maybe even surpass Jarl, right? If they teamed up like that. That's a fire theory. Honestly, the more I think about it, that's a top tier theory. Top tier. Plume Black Cat, earlier you said, can Bonnie really though? He's over 400 plus years old. I mean, I'm assuming Bonnie can de-age as much as possible. Well, and it is interesting because remember when Bonnie tried de-aging Saturn and it didn't work during Egghead? Bonnie, forget exactly what she said, but she's like, wait, what's going on? I can't affect this geezer or something like that. You know, you could read it as like it's just a bunch of Conquerors hockey, like he was rejecting, you know, her attempt at de-aging, but maybe it's also just that he's so old, or well, it's probably the immortality, but you could also read it as that he's so old that she can't go back that far or something, maybe. So maybe she would have trouble with Jarl, but I think she'd be able to. I think so. It might not be something that she could do the first day she ate her fruit, but I feel like she has enough practice now, you know? I mean, she went Gear 5 and everything, so. Skorsky, welcome to the chat. You said, I made it to the live chat. That live action season 2 hit so good. Just gotta say, I completely agree. I have no shame in saying that a few tears, you know, went down my face definitely while watching it. And I reacted to most of the season here, but then I went back and watched episode 7 just by myself again because it was so good. And like, there's some moments there that are just tear jerkers, you know, and episode 7 can almost live on its own. I feel like knowing the context of the story helps, but there were some moments that like episode 7 could just be its own separate story, you know. It was so good. Eden's Blue, my guy Mr. Blue, he said lurking, but what's good, Dak? Eden's, welcome, brother. Appreciate you. Did you hear that Max Struess is back today? My goat. We're missing half the rest of our team. We had to sacrifice Jared Allen and Craig Porter Jr. and Tyrese Proctor and Luke Travers and somebody else I can't remember. But we got Max Struess back, so we got that going for us. Straw Hat AP, you said Chopper and Scopper dialogue in 1177. I am with that, actually. I like that prediction a lot. And the reason I really like it, well, not part of it's because they're already together, so I think that's very possible. But something that I've pointed out in a couple videos now is, like, there have been 3 or 4 times where Chopper specifically stated that he wanted to figure out how the immortality works. And, like, Scopper obviously, you know, knows a thing or two about the God's Knights and what this immortality really is. And he knew that Conqueror's Haki was the way around it and stuff, right? Like, I think he said straight up, like, they're not actually immortal. So Oda's already set up that these two need to talk. And beyond that, you guys have heard the idea that the Mountain Eater epithet came from Drum Island, right? Because it was said that Scopper, you know, was protecting Roger when he was sick, like they were seeing a doctor to get him taken care of, and he chopped down a bunch of trees while protecting him. Well, if that really was Drum Island, and that's why there's those mountaintops that look like tree stumps and stuff, and that's why Kureha knows about the Will of D and knew Roger's real name and all that kind of stuff, Chopper needs to talk to him about it, right? Like, the fact that Oda has Chopper and Scopper together makes me think that Drum Island thing is definitely true. I mean, not definitely, but it aids into that argument, right? Because it's like he's setting up a connection between those two specifically. And the beauty of it is, for Chopper trying to figure out the immortality, well, like, he learned from Kureha, who has the secret to living for, not forever, but secret to staying young, right? Because she's like 141, and she always asks people, like, hey, do you want to know the secret to my eternal youth? And everyone just kind of laughs at her and doesn't really want the answer. Well, we might have to figure out the answer. Like, Chopper probably knows. And so I wonder if Scopper is going to tell him, like, oh, the immortality is really just this. They did this, and they're not actually going to live forever, but they sort of cheated. And then Chopper can then bring up, like, either that's exactly what Kureha did, or, wow, that's way different than what Kureha did. But either way, it just feels like that's got to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there. It's right there for the taking, and it connects all the different things. Edens, you said, I'm happy for y'all. I need someone to stop the Celtics. The more help, the better. I agree. I don't like, like messing with the seeding that strongly. Like trying to, like, play for a certain seed in the playoffs, but I would really like to avoid the Celtics until the ECF, just because, like, if they play the Pistons or the Knicks, at least the Celtics will get, we'll have a tough matchup. Like, it'll be a physically demanding series before they play the Cavs, and I think that'll help. But if the Celtics get, like, if they sweep in the first round and we play them in the second, that's going to be, like, our toughest matchup of the playoffs. Like, I would feel like the Cavs have a better chance against, like, the Spurs or the Nuggets or most of the West teams over the Celtics, To Jaris, you said, we think Imu's doing something this chapter. I do. Well, I don't think Imu's going to do anything, like, real crazy, but we're going to get some talk from Imu, some lore drop. My first prediction, well, now it's the second on here, but it was my first one I put on here originally, was we're going to get back to Brook and Imu, because we kind of dipped away from that, right? And remember, the last we saw Imu was like, wait, that fruit, it's been here the whole time? And then that's kind of been it. So I think we got to get back to that, and I think Brook needs to talk to Imu a little bit, So I think we got to get back to Imu soon, for sure. Kid comes back as a weapon for Harudin. So how would he be a weapon for him? Like, like the rail gun. I'm trying to think of how they would team up, because Kid needs to get involved in this arc at some point, right? That has to happen. And I don't know. I mean, I did a whole theory on like what his past was and stuff, but I still don't really know what that necessarily is gonna, you know, lead to, or how he's gonna lead his way back into the arc. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Kid gets thrown by him, so we're going back to like Eni's lobby when Usopp, well, Soge King and Zoro were teaming up. Is that what you're saying? Kid will be like a giant sword. That would be kind of fun. That would be kind of fun, honestly. Kid becomes a Ragnar clone, like he collects hella metal and becomes the hammer. That's kind of fun too. And it's you know, if we're really gonna build on that idea, like Ragnar is like a living hammer that also has some kind of like, you know, electric. Well, really, he doesn't have electric. Well, he does have electric properties, and he doesn't, because we know he's like the ice squirrel, and we saw that he has ice powers. But we also saw Loki use lightning when he swung the hammer when he still had Sea Stone on. So that would make me think that Ragnar probably has some lightning powers too, maybe. But then if Kid, again, I don't know if Kid would ever opt into this. I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think Kid wants to be used by somebody else. But it would be kind of cool if Haradin got his own hammer and it was also alive, because Kid is technically alive, and it could even have potentially some electric to it, because if, you know, if like Kid with like, I don't, well, at least it would be like electromagnetic, you know what I'm saying? So maybe there's like something there that they could do. Again, I don't think Kid would want to ever do that, but you could have two kind of lightning hammers in a way going against each other, and that would be kind of cool. So I kind of like it. Dilcor, you're like, you said, we talking about turning Kid into a hammer? That is the current topic. Yes, that's where we're at. We're talking about Kid becoming a hammer and being weaponized by Haradin, so that way we can have both giants with giant hammers. Is where we're at. Yes. Let's see. Detroit Sleepy. I like that name. You said if Imu talks, then Brook is getting his power up. Then Usopp shocks us all. I wonder what Brook's power up will be if he gets one. I like to think he will, at a bare minimum, awakening for me. Like that Brook, he may already be awakened for all we know, because like how he like separates his soul and stuff, but that's got to happen. And I feel like with how emotional and angry he is at Imu/Gunko/Shuri right now, it would kind of make sense that Brook awakened against Imu. Especially if Brook learned that like Shuri is being controlled and it wasn't her fault back then and it was Imu's fault, and he's face to face with Imu. Again, I don't think Brook is gonna like beat Imu or, you know, inflict any pain, but I could definitely see him awaken and, you know, cause some problems for sure. For sure. Nate McWilliams, you said, I'm thinking that Loki's the one with ice powers because in Norse mythology, Loki was half frost giant. I think it's very confusing right now, because I could see that, because we did learn that Ratatoskr was the ice squirrel, whatever that means. We don't know what that means exactly, but we did hear it that way. But like I said, we saw Loki bring down lightning when he still had Sea Stone on, so we know the lightning isn't just him. So I'm kind of with you that maybe the ice isn't just Ragnar either. Like, maybe they both have, like, roughly the same powers, and they just are amplifying each other. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it would be weird if Ragnar, like if Loki's thing is lightning, it would be kind of weird if Ragnar also had lightning, but then Loki doesn't share in the other ability that Ragnar has. Like, it just feels like, just the situation's just kind of weird, I guess. So I could see it. And also, you know, Loki's been in the realm of the dead for so long, and And so, I don't know. It would kind of make sense, I think, if he had some sort of ice powers in him. Plume Black Hat, you said, Dak, if a Holy Knight is frozen by Ragnar, could they break out? I don't think they have the hockey to do that. You know, that's interesting to think about, because you know how earlier we were talking about, like lightning and maybe even fire being weaknesses of the Holy Knights? If they're weak to ice too, it would just be like they're weak to, like, natural phenomenon, you know what I mean? Like natural elements or something. Which then also makes me think back to, like, Logias. It's like they're weak to things that we've seen Logias of. And I just wonder if there's a story there. Like I have no idea what it would be. But maybe them being weak to, like, the elements is... I don't know, like, there's something to it. Like, they would not want to face the Avatar. I can tell you that. The Avatar no-diffs the God's Knights. That's a fact. And actually, isn't there an adult Aang movie coming out? Let me look this up. Yeah, this year. Yeah, it's grown-up Aang, right? That's the idea. I can't... I'm not getting any clear answers right away, but I'm pretty sure there is a movie coming out. If that guy showed up to Elbaf, we're saved. We're saved. Gigi, you said you no-diff the God's Knights? Damn. Gigi, you got Conqueror's hockey? You've been practicing? Edens, you said, yeah, coming to Paramount Plus. Dill, you said, yeah. Dude, I'm looking forward to that. Adult Aang movie. I'm gonna be watching that for sure. For sure. There was a prediction I saw earlier I wanted to throw on here. Oh, Den Jadara. Also, I saw you mention you got the TCG cards, which is awesome. Very glad. I know I've had a couple people that were having trouble, or there's delayed shipments getting to people, so I'm glad you got them for sure. But I like your suggestion here. Loki hybrid form in the next couple chapters. I'm going to put that on here. I honestly, if we see Loki fight next chapter, I think we could see it next chapter. Because one thing I always think about is, like, remember when we fought Kaido? Like, we got the hybrid form pretty quick, right? Like when we were on the rooftop, we had, like, one kind of round of skirmishes before the hybrid form came out. So, you know, I feel like there's a lot of connections between Kaido and Loki already. And so maybe we can use that as an example where, like, you know, he's going to show us Loki's pretty soon too. We already saw the silhouette of it. So I think even next chapter we could see the hybrid form, honestly. Snail Blazer, you said, I have a question. Rox got Domi reversied, right? Does that mean he survived God Valley based on Dory and Brogy? And then Detroit Sleepy answered and said he survived and was killed by Garling. And yeah, so that is correct. But there is a little bit of extra context that I think is actually really worth talking about here, which is that, like, when we saw Garling go over and kill him, it felt kind of like a almost just like a thematic thing. Like, it was just like a finishing blow just because he was so tired of the guy. Like, it didn't feel like there was a lot of meaning behind it other than just like, yeah, we need to kill him because he's bad and that's it, right? Or like, I don't like him. Like, it didn't feel like there was a lot of purpose behind it necessarily. But now that we've seen what happened with Dory and Brogy, I think you can almost look at that moment with Garling and look at it differently as, like, Garling knew that Rox was going to live, right? Because I think, like, with the way that fight went down, it felt like Rox was probably going to die anyway, right? But maybe Garling knew that when you get knocked out of Domi Reversey, you're actually okay, but you're weak for a little while, and so that's why Garling went and finished him. It wasn't just because he hates Rox. It wasn't just because, you know, he, like, Imu ordered the hit or whatever. It's because he knew that Rox was going to live and get out of there. And so he's like, I got to take this chance now. And I think that's just really important context, because like I said, it felt like at least to me personally, whenever I saw him kill him the first time, I didn't think there was like, you know, a lot of meaning behind it other than just like Rox was going to die anyway. Garling didn't like him. He just wanted to have the finishing blow. It was a cool thematic thing. That's it. Now I think it's like Garling knew that, like, he was waiting probably the whole time, maybe just watching that fight unfold. Like, okay, guys, well, as soon as this is over, we got to go kill him because he's going to make it out of here. And I think that's also interesting in the context of, like, does Imu also know that these Domi Reversy people are going to live afterward, right? And, like, and I feel like that would make a really interesting thing where it's just, like, the people who are defending themselves from Domi Reversy won't want to kill them because now they're going to know, well, like, hey, not only are you still in there, if we save you, you're going to get to live, so I don't want to kill you, right? And I feel like that's just, it's just extra context that I think is really interesting, you know? So, I don't know, I think it's going to be really cool when Garling, I assume this will happen, when Garling is able to tell Blackbeard, like, yeah, I killed your father. But it wasn't just a, you know, just killing him in his last breath anyway just because I don't like him thing. It's like, no, like, he would have lived if I didn't do that, right? And I think that's more powerful. So I want some Garling and Blackbeard interaction, which I think we might be getting at Marijois sooner than we think, honestly. Roshan, you said, hey, Dak, consider Sanji as well. What's your idea on will he have Conquerors and not? I think he definitely will. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think his is just like the opposite of Zoro, where Zoro has like so much that he's just like spewing Conquerors everywhere. I think Sanji has it, but he's a low-key, secretive guy, so he's just hiding all of his Conquerors. Like, he may not even know that he's doing it. It may just be natural, because Zoro didn't know he was spewing Conquerors everywhere, so Sanji might not know that he's hiding his Conquerors in a way. Quackvors again. I'm sorry about the name. I'm gonna keep saying that because I know there's probably a cooler way of pronouncing it, but maybe both sides need to agree with each other in regards to fixing Domi Reversy. Brogy and Dory both accepted their end while Rox gave up and Garling just wanted to finish him off. That's an interesting way of thinking of it too. Like they, I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but in a different way than you are, where it's like they have to believe that they're dying or believe that their end is actually here. Like, it's like they have to willingly give up their life in a way, which I think is like antithetical to a lot of what we've heard about One Piece, right? But it would kind of be fitting because I think the idea would be, it's not that you are, you know, believing that you're dead in like actually, or that you're believing that, you know, like this is actually the end. It's more like you're ending this Domi Reversy life, right? If that makes sense. And so, because I think people's natural reaction is like they don't want to die, they want to defend themselves at all costs. But maybe the idea is like, well, if you agree to kind of just give up when you're in Domi Reversy, then maybe there is like a way through it, you know? I don't know. That thing with Dory and Brogy feels so like, it feels so strange right now. Like, I don't hate it at all. Like, I think Oda's gonna cook with it when he gets there, but it does feel kind of weird right now because we've seen people in Domi Reversy take definitely like enough lethal damage that they would die normally, but they didn't. So them cutting each other's heads off, I'm like, that's not anything more than we've seen before, really, you know? Like, can't it just regenerate? Unless the idea is like the head is the weakness, but I don't think that's really the answer either, you know? So it is weird. It is weird. Oda's got some explaining to do, for sure. For sure. Plume Blackhat, you said, prediction for the next chapter. Imu orders Gunko and Summers to fuse? I don't hate that. Have we seen Have we seen anyone fuse like that? I don't think so. I mean, unless you're talking like Wapple, you know, with like in his powers and stuff. But do we have any like thing to base that off of? Because I actually like that. I mean, I guess it could be like docking. Oh, I guess it's like Emu and Saturn. It's a little bit like Emu and Saturn. I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna put it on here just so it has a place to live somewhere, you know. Oop. The docking connection and the God Valley connection, I like that. That's kind of cool. That's very interesting. I saw another one. Where was it? Dimil P 1308. I don't know how to say your name. But you said maybe Emu will Domi reverse some Straw Hats. I'm gonna put that on here. I don't know if that'll happen next chapter, but I am gonna put it on here because that's gotta be something that Oda visits. Like, I don't know if it'll be the whole crew, if there's limitations to it, but I feel like that's something that Oda's gonna have to confront at some point. Like whether we just find out that there are limits to Domi Reversey that won't work on the Straw Hats, like maybe it doesn't work on, or maybe it only works on D clan members, or you have to be in your home country, or maybe it doesn't work on Devil Fruit users. There's been a lot of examples that people have thrown out there on, you know, what are the limits to it. So like I was saying, Oda's going to have to visit it at some point with the Straw Hats. Like maybe only a couple of them are eligible because they don't have Devil Fruits and aren't D clan members or something, right? So I don't know if it'll be the whole crew, but that's got to get tackled eventually, I think. I'd be surprised if it doesn't at the very least. Give me 1 second here. There we go. The chat froze real quick. Now I'm back. Adam L, my goat. You said, "What's up, everyone? Welcome to the stream." We're just going over some predictions for 1177, or really Elbaf in general. I mean, I guess I should say like near-term predictions. You know, if it doesn't happen next chapter, it's cool, but something soon. I think my favorite one, as you can kind of see on the list, this isn't really done in any order, but I really love the one at the top where Bonnie D ages Jarl. I need that. I need that in my life. Inject that directly into my veins. BZ6, you said, "I want to see a Kizaru and Sentamaru update." Glad you brought that up. Because remember, at the end of Egghead, we saw Sentamaru like paddling away, and he's been kind of MIA. And Kizaru, obviously, he yelled at Akainu, and we haven't really seen him since. So, my kind of headcanon right now for the next cover story is that it's going to partially involve Sentamaru. I think the other Vegapunks that went to Weatheria should definitely also be in the cover story. But Sentamaru, it seems like a really good candidate, if you ask me. And Stussy too. Yes, Kanu, exactly. Yes, and Stussy. All the Egghead, you know, people that we're wondering about, I think they need to be the next cover story. Because if you look at the last like million cover stories, I forget, I broke down the numbers before, I can't remember, but pretty much every recent cover story every cover story almost, it follows people from the prior arc. Because usually Oda will end the arc, some people will have loose ends, and Oda will wrap those loose ends up in the cover story. Like we beat Buggy, so we follow Buggy for a while and see how he gets to Logtown. Then we see Kobe, and we learn that he's training and stuff, and that's why it makes sense when we meet him in Enies Lobby. More recently, you know, we just had the Yamato cover story, which is, we got started that right after Wano, right? Oda does this so consistently that he follows people from the last arc. He started off doing villains every single time. Now, the last like 5 or 6, he's done allies that he's covered. So I think this time, if he's going to keep doing allies, Sentamaru, Stussy, Vegapunks, probably even Kizaru after the SBS that we saw. So I think that's what Oda's saving it for, I think, for sure. Denjadra, you said Domi only works in your homeland, but Luffy was born in Elbaf. That's very interesting. The other kind of logic that I've been hearing, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but maybe Domi Reversy only works on D clan members, and we just heard that Elbaf is of the D, and Luffy is, you know, obviously also a D clan member. So maybe that's also how this could work. Like, if he's not from Elbaf, or, you know, has some kind of tie there that we don't know about, maybe the D clan part is where that fits in. I think Domi Reversy Luffy is like just a really cool thing that Oda's probably gonna show us at some point. It's like kind of antithetical, because like Luffy is supposed to be free, and he's like so strong now and has Gear 5 that it might feel a little weird to see him kind of like be evil or something, but it'd be damn cool. And you actually think back to like Little Garden, which we just had in the live action. Luffy was affected by that, right? Like, he was affected by Betrayal Black and couldn't really fight past it until Usopp saved him from it. So maybe we're going to see a similar thing where Luffy goes into Domi Reversy and then Usopp has to save him from it. And then that way Usopp kind of saves the day, like, through the transitive property, because if he saves Luffy, then Luffy saves the day. It's like, you know, it's all because of Usopp. And that's kind of what happened in Little Garden, if we're being honest. In Little Garden, again, that's where we met Dory and Brogy, so it would make sense that there's some parallels there. So I kind of like that. Luffy gets Domi Reversied, and Usopp saves him. Sign me up. Sign me up. Adam L, you said my prediction, but not for this chapter. Either Imu or Domi Reversed Loki destroys Ragnar, a la Thor Ragnarok, and Loki has to find Galila or the Hammer Clan to fix him, and maybe Noah before the final war. The problem with Ragnar being destroyed for me is that we now know that Ragnar is also a squirrel. And so that means that the squirrel would probably have to die. Because, like, if Ragnar the Hammer breaks into a million pieces, I would guess that means that Ratatoskr is also dead. I guess we don't really know, but I would imagine. And I don't know if I like that. You know, I don't know if I want him to die. But I do think that he's going to go find the Galela, however that's pronounced. The Warhammer Company. We can just say that. I do think he's going to find them for sure. That's like a guarantee, because if you go back to the flashback, even Rox was like, oh, I need Harold to go, like, lead the Gale-Ra Giants. I forget how he worded it, but he wanted Harold to join partially because he could go lead the Gale-Ra Giants at some point. And we never learned really why he wanted them. We just know that Rox did want the Gale-Ra Giants. And so I think now, like, what was going to be Rox and Harold is now going to be Luffy and Loki in terms of that parallel, right? Like, these two are going to work together to go summon Gale-Ra and stuff. Now, I could also see Blackbeard having a role in there too, because remember Kuzan. Kuzan was at Punk Hazard, where the frozen giants are, and Kuzan has a history of freezing giants, and the giants don't actually die and they come back. So I think it could be that, like, Luffy and Loki make it their goal to go save Gale-Ra, but then they realize Blackbeard already took them. Is maybe where I'm at. Something like that. Quack Wars, it seems like we're mind roping a little bit here. You said this isn't a prediction for the next chapter, but I like the idea of Loki and Blackbeard both go to Gale-Ra Giants and square off. Yeah, I like Luffy and Loki and Blackbeard and Kuzan almost like having a conflict for the Gale-Ra Giants. I feel like that's I don't know if they're actually gonna fight, but it feels like Oda's kind of setting that up. I feel like, or at least some connection there. Like I said, maybe it's that Blackbeard just takes them first, And so then the plot becomes like Luffy and Loki are trying to convince them that they're following the wrong guy, sort of thing. And I think that's interesting as well. BZ6, you said, what if we get the Nika or God of War, Nika and God of War flashback and how the giants got frozen? I don't know if that's going to be the next chapter, but I want that flashback really bad. I don't know when the Gale giants were frozen, you know, in relation to the Nika and God of War stuff. Like, I could almost see Nika and God of War being like thousands of years ago, and then Gale was like the Void Century, right? So maybe there's not like a full connection, but I need to see that flashback regardless. That's gonna be top tier, assuming we get it. Like, I could see us getting almost like a mural equivalent thing where we get like a depiction of what happened, but we don't actually see the flashback. Not really sure, but gotta learn something about it. Also, I just saw my goat, Always Sunny in Ennis lobby, just pulled up. Always Sunny, appreciate you. I saw that you dropped a video a couple days ago about something that I know you and I agree on, which is the Loki Ancient Weapon talk. So definitely go check him out if you haven't. He makes great videos. I wonder how fast Loki can travel around the One Piece planet in his dragon form. Maybe Oda will use that for fast traveling for endgame in the story. Like, we need to go back to Punk Hazard, etc. That's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but you're right. The other option that I want to throw out there, because this came to mind during the last chapter, is if they put Frankie's new cola into the Sunny, and then you use a Kude burst with the new cola, how far is the Sunny going? Like, because what's it go, a kilometer now? It's going to go, like, maybe all the way, but halfway around the world or something. You know what I mean? Like, to the moon. Yeah, Narukami, maybe to the moon. Maybe. Because, like, I like the idea that Loki does it, but then we're kind of leaving the Sunny behind, which we have the same problem in reverse, where, like, if we want to take the Sunny, like, Loki can't fit on it, so it's like a weird, you know, we're kind of stuck. But either way, that new cola could really get the Sunny places very quick, is all I'm saying. Loki's dragon form would help too, though. Maybe what's gonna happen is Loki doesn't join the crew, like, officially, but he says it's like a Yamato or Jinbei thing, where it's like a, yes, but I can't right now. And maybe Loki flies over to Punk Hazard because he realizes his job is to bring back the Gale giants, and then we keep going forward, and then we meet up later. That, honestly, that kind of, I never really thought about it, but that kind of helps all the problems that I feel like we have right now. Because then, like, Loki doesn't have to get on the ship, maybe at all, right? Because he can go do his own thing until the war starts, then he can show up, and then we don't really have that problem. And that's how we can also, like, keep progressing towards the One Piece while also having Loki go mess with Gale Ra. So that might make some sense, honestly. See you guys saying 20 kilometers for the Sunny. New cola and Sunny sounds so good. Yeah. That was one of the first things I thought of whenever I saw Frankie get the new cola, because, like, he, like, flies to the sky the second he gets it, doesn't he? Like, shoots straight upward. Let me see. Yeah. So right away, he says, my jumping power is unreal. Like, it's the first thing he does whenever he has the cola, is he flies up into the sky. So it's the symbolism's kind of right there, I think. And I also wonder, like, would this new cola maybe give the Sunny some extra, like, abilities that it didn't have before? Like, Kude bursting further and, like, its propeller being faster and stuff like that, I feel like is definitely on the table. But I'm wondering, too, if there's, like, more, you know, like, options in general with this cola. Like, I don't know if Frankie would have to go modify it first or if it'll automatically get more capabilities with the cola, but I wonder, I mean, honestly, I could even see the Sunny like getting a mini Pluton laser kind of thing at this point, right? Because Frankie did see the blueprints, and I feel like there's been theories forever that Frankie's going to incorporate some of that Pluton stuff into the Sunny. And so maybe that occurs once he gets this new cola because it's strong enough, right? Maybe. I don't know. Plume Black Cat, you said, I think it should be a 12x boost in all aspects, speed, power, etc. Yeah, I completely agree. At least 12 and at least like a general power up, you know. But like, I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be something like Frankie's gonna be like, wait, up like until my cola wasn't strong enough to do this before, but now let me try. And then he's gonna, I don't even know. Maybe his radical beam will instead be like a Pluton laser. Who knows? Who knows? Also, even if Kuma died, his fruit could finally respawn on the boat on the mandarin trees. There's been theories about that for so dang long. Like, 'cause I remember with like Monet, that was probably the where it really started was with Monet. And Kuma, I mean, I don't think he's dead yet, but yeah, I mean, in theory, well, now, has he been removed from the boat yet? Is he still on the Sunny right now? I honestly can't remember if they moved him into the lab or not. I don't know. I can't remember. I feel like he probably is still on the Sunny. Because it's not like they knew the lab right away. So, like, why would they have brought him before they knew where to bring him? You know what I mean? I can't remember. Honestly, can't remember. Roshan, you said, hey, what about the Mother Flame? Lilith knows about that, right? Yes. So, well, Lilith knows a lot of it because remember, like, York didn't like update her memories to Punk Records, so they don't really know the full story. They just know that she took it, but she definitely knows about the Mother Flame in general, if that's what you're asking, like how it works and stuff like that. She's probably even more aware of that than York, because by virtue of York not syncing with Punk Records for a while, she probably is missing some of the data and stuff they've learned about the Mother Flame over the last few months, because it's been a while since she connected, right? Because remember the Cypherpole agents were going missing for a while and stuff. So Lilith definitely knows a lot about it. I think York, remember York wanted Punk Records and the Mother Flame in order to help the government, but she did not get Punk Records because Edison stole it. She only has the Mother Flame, and I think part of that is because like Lilith, you know, needs some of that intel. Like, she probably doesn't really know how to work with the Mother Flame that well because she's lacking the info that they've been building over the last few months. I think she just like, even the way it was phrased is like part of the Mother Flame was stolen. So I'm wondering if Lilith or if York doesn't even really know how to work with it that well. She just, you know, maybe they had separated part of it themselves or something, and she just stole it and sent it over, and that's it. Because her dialogue with the Gorosei was literally just, I'm glad I sent it over to you guys. Or I'm glad I sent it over in general. I forget. But she did say, I'm glad I sent it. Not like I'm glad I made it or anything. And so yeah. There's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, Lilith knows all about it. York, I'm not so sure. And then you said, now two sides know about the Mother Flame, right? That'll be crazy. Yeah, I mean, what I think would be really crazy is if the Mother Flame pulls up to Elbaf, if Imu decides to use the Mother Flame, because then Lilith will be able to Lilith will look up, and I don't know if Lilith will be able to help avoid it. I don't know what'll happen, but it'll be interesting to see kind of like Lilith's perspective on it, right? Or even if we don't get attacked, even for Lilith to kind of explain, like, well, here's what the Mother Flame really is. Here's like the potential output. You know, we can't let York use it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to get some more context on it for sure at some point. Snail Blazer, you said, well, the ultimate source of energy is the Mother Flame, so Pluton would be Frankie or Sunny plus Mother Flame. Well, the Mother Flame is actually not the ultimate source of energy, because it's very close, though, because during Egghead, Lilith was talking to Frankie, which, in retrospect, is interesting now that Lilith and Frankie are still in Elbaf, you know, talking and stuff. But Lilith said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but we're always looking for alternative sources of fuel. If we had better sources, we'd be able to make our own sun, but we can't right now, or something to that effect. So, like, she was basically saying they don't have the perfect energy source. And Vegapunk was also looking into Emeth for that same reason, because Emeth ran on the ancient power source, which is what they're trying to figure out, essentially. So the Mother Flame is pretty close to that. I think it's like probably 98% the way there or something. But there definitely was a power source that the Ancient Kingdom had that was a little bit better. I would imagine it's going to share some connection to the Mother Flame or something, but and a little bit of evidence to show, maybe a little bit of evidence to show that there is a better power source also is, like, if you compare Enies Lobby to Lelucia, they look the exact same, right? Giant hole in the ocean and whatever. But Lelucia is all dark and stormy, and Enies Lobby is daylight 24/7. And so then you think back to Lilith saying, we'd be able to make our own sun. I think you can kind of look at those two situations and see, like, okay, they're pretty much the same, but the Enies Lobby one did create their own sun, quote unquote, and Lelucia didn't. So Enies Lobby was probably made with a blast that was using the ancient power source, and then Lelucia was probably not. Lelucia was just, you know, the Mother Flame, like I said, is probably like very close, but not the same. And so the reason I even break that down is just because I think the idea eventually isn't going to be that Frankie needs the Mother Flame. I think it's going to be that Frankie discovers the ancient power source. And so he will be able to use something even better than the Mother Flame eventually. Or not that he himself, like in his own body, maybe like he'll, you know, modify the Sunny to do it. But I think that's where it's headed, is like Frankie's going to surpass Vegapunk because he figures out the even better power source. I'm guessing is how that is going to go. I don't really know, obviously, but I feel like the Mother Flame power source thing and like the ancient weapon thing is all, I feel like there's a lot of good guesses right now because, you know, people say like, oh, maybe that weapon is Uranus, which we haven't seen it, so I guess it's possible. I say it could be an anti-Pluton. Some people say it could be an anti-Uranus. So I feel like it's hard to say, but I do think there's another power source that we're going to see eventually. Always Sunny, you said, we'll get the Elbaf Mural 2.0 moment if it pulls up. Loki will counter its power with his power. I completely agree with that. I really love that idea. And what I really like about that idea is it's a little self-serving, but in my last video about Enel and Burka, which if you guys have not watched it yet, I highly recommend it. I gotten pretty good feedback on it too, which not every video does, but that one did. Is part of my idea for the Enel and Burka situation is that maybe Burka had Enel's fruit, and Enel's lightning fruit was going to be the power source for the government's weapon originally. Like, before the Mother Flame came around, maybe that was their plan. And if you think that doesn't work, well, remember, Enel used his fruit to power the Arc Maxim and destroy islands that way. So we already know that Enel's fruit is used in tandem with the machine to power it up and to delete islands with it. Which is exactly the same thing as the Mother Flame and that ancient weapon. It's like literally the same idea. And so part of my idea was like, well, maybe Burka had Enel's fruit and they were going to use it to power the government's weapon, but Enel ate it and ruined their plans and stuff. Because that also kind of parallels Loki, right? Because Loki, like, Elbaf had this very special fruit that apparently Imu was looking for, that we just learned a couple chapters ago, which is very important. And then Loki ate it, and that is a lightning fruit also. And so maybe these lightning fruits were like kind of sought after because they can power things, right? And so going back to that idea, like if the Mother Flame pulls up, I think like Loki countering it would be really fitting, because in some ways, like, a lightning devil fruit was almost the original power source that they were going after. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think it'd be kind of cool for that to happen. Now, how could an L fit into all this? I'm not really sure, but I like that idea nonetheless. And like Ennis Lobby mentioned, like, on the mural, at least I assume this is what you're referring to. On the mural, we see the dragon at the top blasting this, you know, giant hellfire serpent on the other side, and like they're attacking each other. So maybe that serpent thing is like a stand-in for the Mother Flame, and then the dragon is like Loki, so we're already seeing them fight, right? So I don't know. I like it. And actually, another parallel that I want to bring up, which I can't remember who it was. Somebody in the Discord I was talking to about this. Maybe it was a couple people. Well, either way, shout out to them. I can't remember who it was. But another idea that we talked about, and I'm very curious what you guys think about this. Very curious. Because once I heard this, I was like, I almost wanted to do a video about it, like, right away. What do you guys think about paralleling Thriller Bark, where, you know, everyone had to team up against Oars, where we have to team up against Domi Reversy Loki? Now, that idea has been talked about before, but here's the part that I really loved from that idea, is if Loki does get Domi Reversied, and the Straw Hats all have to team up to take him down, or just Elbaf in general, well, the piece that we're missing is Nightmare Luffy. And right now, we have all these different nightmares running around. We also have this Domi Reversy mode, which is like beefs you up to like a crazy power level for some reason. So I'm wondering if there's some path here for us to revisit Nightmare Luffy and to get like Nightmare Gear 5 Luffy against Domi Reversy Loki. I think that's like the perfect Oars parallel, right? Like the Straw Hats teaming up, that's great. But the Nightmare Luffy part is even better. And then I also got to thinking, well, Moria is MIA right now. We don't know where Moria's at. He's got his ship. He's with Perona somewhere. They're sailing around. If we're going to have Thriller Bark parallels, why not just get Moria in the arc somehow? He's also, or we don't know what his race is, but he seems to be like Oni or part Oni. And so maybe that's also where Moria could fit into the arc, is like we're going to learn about the Oni and Ancient Giant interconnection somehow. And then that also got me thinking, well, we did just hear about Moria in Wano, and who found his gravestone? Yamato, who was also an Oni. And also somebody that we want to, at least I think a lot of people want to get back with the crew or get involved in the main story again. So I don't know if there's some way that like Moria and Yamato pull up and they somehow talk to us about the history of the Onis or something, and that's their main purpose. But if Moria pulls up, imagine he like helps Luffy achieve Nightmare Luffy. Like instead of 100 shadows, maybe he's able to help him get to like 1,000 shadows, which is what Shadows Asgard was. Which, by the way, speaking of Shadows Asgard, which if you don't remember was that was Moria's biggest attack essentially in Thriller Bark. That's like where he brought all the shadows in and he like became that giant like grotesque version of himself. Asgard is also something that ties to Norse mythology. Isn't that like the realm of the gods in Norse mythology? So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's Nightmare Luffy. That's just, I never thought it would be possible to happen so soon, but it feels like all the pieces are there. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, and I think it also makes sense because if Loki got Domi Reversied, I mean, I'm not trying to like discredit the Straw Hats, but I'm not sure if the Straw Hats can beat them as is, right? Like in their current forms, even if they all teamed up, even if they all went all out. I just feel like Domi Reversied Loki, it'd be really tough. It'd be really tough. But if it's Nightmare Gear 5 Luffy, who gets to get the first, you know, bunch of hits in and weakens him, kind of like we saw with ores, then I think I'm then I think it might work, honestly. Roshan, you said, I think Shanks will pull up there, as Oda mentioned people coming face to face who met before. That's also I know that's also something that people have brought up a lot, is like, I mean, Shanks is MIA, you know what I mean? He left, and we don't really know where he's going for sure. So I think that's possible. I think the biggest problem with Shanks coming back to Elbaf in any way is that he just left Elbaf, and in general, it feels weird for him to just return. Like, hey, why did you even head out in the first place if you were just gonna like turn around real quick? Now, there's obviously things that Oda could throw in there to make that make sense, and then we could maybe see Shanks and Loki team up, or maybe Luffy and Shanks team up against Loki, which could be really fun as well. But yeah, it's kind of my biggest problem, is just like Shanks probably shouldn't return to the place he just was. But we can also see that later, or like I don't know. Who maybe we go to the sky because of the Heaven Realm, and maybe while we're in the sky, we see Shanks up there doing something, and that's where he went. You know what I mean? Although we did see him on like his normal ship sailing away, so he definitely didn't just go up. But like I said, there's things that Oda can kind of figure out. Let's see. There was one prediction I saw earlier when I was talking, and now I can't find it, but... Will of Dreams, you said Loki powers the Pluton, and the Galley Law are... And the Galley Law are Pluton's crew, only giants can do it. That would be kind of interesting if there was like a more direct connection between the giants and Pluton because they built it. Because I'm also thinking now, I feel like it's going to be Uranus. Like if the giants were going to be deeply connected to one, because like you think about like Poseidon, that's like a fishman specific thing, right? And for Uranus, now that we see Loki already with lightning powers, and that was like the legendary fruit of Elbaf, I feel like Uranus is pretty squarely a Elbaf or Skypiea thing. So I feel like Pluton probably shouldn't be that closely connected. I mean, like, I do think Gale-Ra built it, but maybe the operation of it should be tied to other races of some kind. I don't know. Dexter, you said hi. Dexter, welcome. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Also, I just realized it's almost 3 o'clock. Let me look at my messages real quick here. One of my buddies is coming over for the Cavs game, and I just wanted to make sure he's not like about to show up soon while I'm still streaming. Also, guys, I don't know if anybody else gets these, but the last couple months, I keep getting these texts, and I know they're not legit. And I don't know if you guys are suffering the same thing, but I get these texts that are basically trying to tell me that I'm overdue for some kind of traffic citation or vehicle registration thing or toll fee, something vehicle related. And it tells me that I'm like, if I don't pay in 2 days, I'm going to lose my license, and I'm going to have a 30-day suspension, and I'm going to have to pay all this money. And they're like, you need to, the only way to avoid it is by paying this. And like, I get them every day. I just got 2 of them while we were streaming. And I'm telling you, they're not real. Not that I'm a perfect driver, but they're not this bad. You guys say you've been getting them too. Edens, you say that's been happening to me a lot. It's been really bad the last month too. So there must be some bad people bought some data, data packages or whatever and are doing this. But it's been real bad. And like the messages, Like, I'm not gonna fall for it because, like, I live in Ohio. The state of Ohio is not gonna text me from an iPhone to solicit money. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not really how it works. So I'm not gonna fall for it. But they do make it look legit with, like, the way they break it down. But I'm like, there's no, like, obviously that's not gonna happen. Yeah, Plume Black Hat. AI is helping way too many scammers. It's true. That's like a lot of things in life, you know, like maybe there's, you know, good sides and bad sides to a lot of the technology we're developing, but man, AI's got a lot of downsides thus far. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. Shloop, you said no way, literally got one an hour ago. Did we get the same one? Let's see, mine, I got two. They were both about 40 minutes ago. They came pretty. It was probably from the same guy. It was probably him just sending two different messages and not realizing I'm on both data sets or something. Which is funny because, like, if you're really trying to get someone in trouble, you don't want to do the double text because then they're gonna start looking at it funny. Which, like, I'm not trying to give suggestions to any scammers out there, but I'm just saying, if I get two back to back from different numbers, I'm like, yeah, that's fake. You know. Marshall Sean, the theorist, he said Oda's doing Usopp dirty. I think he's lost his touch. I think what Oda's doing is he's lulling us to sleep about Usopp. I think he is purposefully leaving him in the background, making him look bad, not having him involved, developing all this stuff that is not tied to him because he's going to wow us later on. And maybe that's copium. It could be copium, or hopium, I should say. In fact, I would say it is hopium. Hopefully it doesn't become copium. But I think he's got something big in store. And the fact he's ignored him so much makes me feel more confident in that, because it's just like what he has in store is so big that he doesn't need to spend any time right now, right? Like, he doesn't have to build it up or whatever. It's just going to, like, wow us when he gets to it. That's, you know, like I said, it's hopium, but... Dexter, you said, I keep getting ones about packages being held in toll. I get those too. My mom's worked for the post office for a really long time here in the U.S. So whenever, the first time I got one of those, I sent that to her. Like, what the, like this, like this isn't real, right? And she's like, everyone's been getting those the last, I forget how long. That was years ago though. And they kept doing them. They've never stopped. Turkey, you said, do you think it'll be Domi Reversy or Killingham's Nightmares that will make Usopp lock in? I'm very 50-50. I feel like it could be either of them. Because, like, I could totally see Usopp getting Domi Reversied, but he can get the power up, but he can control it, right? Like, he can't be manipulated like the other people can. And that would be cool because it parallels Perona a little bit. Like, it's not like he got like a power up from Perona, but regardless, he was able to, like, evade her control, quote unquote, or, you know, the feeling she was trying to force him to feel, I guess. But I also think Killingham's powers work too, because having one of his nightmares pop out that doesn't obey Killingham, and that's like if his nightmare was Sogekang, or in other words, his nightmare is like a good version of himself, or a better version of himself, a brave version of himself, I think that'd be cool too, because if that nightmare comes out and does some good stuff and is helping the crew, it kind of lets Usopp know, like, hey, this is your potential, right? Like, this could be you. That your nightmare is just yourself. It's just a different version of yourself, and you got to stop being scared of it. Like, you could do the same things he's doing. I think that would be a cool way to kind of show him very literally, like, hey, you are capable of more, right? Like, you shouldn't doubt yourself. And what could be even cooler is if that nightmare ends up losing, and then Usopp's like, well, hey, he might have lost, but that doesn't mean I'm going to. And then, you know, the Gods Knights or Killingham, whatever, could say, well, hey, that was supposed to be, you know, the best version of yourself, and it still lost. How are you going to surpass that? But then, because Usopp got some, you know, some confidence from Sogekang, maybe he would do it. Like, he would actually succeed. I don't know. I could see both. I think they're both like awesome in their own ways, you know? I lean towards the Killingham one just personally, but like him not being controlled by Domi Reversy would also be hilarious. So, you know, 50-50. Quackvores, you said, I hopium that Yarouge will do something. Trust. That's coming. That's coming. I hopium Herculesan will finally reach his destination. I hopium Usopp doing something, but maybe that's all just copium. Yeah. I mean, we all got a lot of hopium right now, I feel like, because, I mean, Oda set up tons of stuff, you know? There's a ton of things that, like, could happen, could come to fruition during Elbaf, but it's just kind of like, what is he actually going to do? Because, like, I'm sure Yarouge will come back. Will he come back in Elbaf and do something really important and wow us? I mean, I got hopium for it, but who knows? I do think Hercules is Heraclesan is coming to Elbaf, though. He's on a giant beetle. Elbaf is known for its giant creatures and stuff. Obviously this is Usopp's arc. That was Usopp's time skip. He's got to pull up. He's got to pull up. Plume Blackcat, you said Usopp's Kabuto gets the Jiki Jiki. I don't think he would get the Jiki Jiki because Kid isn't dead yet. That is Kid's fruit, right? Yeah, that is Kid's fruit. He ain't dead, so it ain't gonna be that. And also, an interesting thing about the Kabuto is that I've always kind of thought, like, well, the Kabuto needs to get a zone fruit because it's an object, and it needs to have the zone imbued into it like a lot of other weapons. But it's also kind of alive because of the plants and stuff, right? So, like, could it eat a paramecia? Like, if a man-eating plant or fruit-eating plant or something eats a paramecia, the plant would get the powers, right? So maybe you could have, like, any fruit in the Kabuto, honestly, if you really wanted to. If you because you know how, like, what's it do? It, like, absorbs water or something, right? I can't remember. I know it grows. It grows one way or another because whatever. Like, you could, maybe you could feed it a fruit or just have it, like, absorb the juice. I don't know. BZ6, he said, I want to see a Law and Beppo update. I'm going to put that on the list. I don't know if that'll happen next chapter, as with, like, most things, but we gotta see that eventually. I don't know if Oda can go that much longer without it. Have you heard the theory that Law and Beppo are inside Smoker's box? I kind of like that. And it could be the intro to Laws and Sword and all that. So maybe that's where it is. And actually, speaking of Smoker, he was so good in the live action that I'm now excited for Smoker to pop back up in the manga. I thought Smoker in the live action was like a triple S plus tier performance. I thought Smoker and Tashigi, they were both like triple S plus tier. There were a couple other ones too, but those, Hero Luck, dude, I can't say enough about Mark Herelick, who was the actor for Dr. Herelick. Yes, Herelick is the actor for Herelick. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. He was triple S plus tier, but Smoker was also triple S plus tier. And so now I'm ready for Smoker to pop back up. I've never been a Smoker guy, but I might be now because he probably had the best fight of the entire season. Actually, in the entire live action period, I think Smoker versus Luffy was like the best one. Josh, you said, is Smoker fruit awakened? Not to our knowledge. We actually don't have confirmation that any Logias have awakened. Punk Records. Punk Hazard seems to pretty clearly be awakened, you know, ice fruit and magma fruit from Aokiji and Kuzan, or Aokiji and Akainu, but we haven't actually had a confirmed Logia awakening at all. So no, Smoker. I do think Smoker is awakened, or like he will be awakened next time he's pushed enough to need to. But no, he's not. Quack Wars, you said Smoker teaming up with Kobe to save Garp is on my bingo. Same with Suru and Sengoku. I actually like that Smoker goes to save Garp. I'm not big on Kobe being involved in saving Garp because Garp just went and saved Kobe and got captured in the process, and that was very recent in the story. Like, it'd be one thing if that happened like pre-time skip, so now we're talking about like, you know, parallels and inversions and stuff, but I feel like that happened so recently that I'd really, maybe it's just me, but I don't want Kobe to go kind of retread the same thing. But Smoker going to go do it, maybe with Suru and Sengoku, like all those other Marines doing it, that I like. That I like a lot. I already think Sengoku is going to be interested in that because he's going after Cross Guild, and Cross Guild, you know, is creating bounties for Marines, and so I've been saying for years that Blackbeard might just sell Garp to the Cross Guild and get the money. And then that would open up the door for Sengoku and Garp to have a connection via Cross Guild, right? Which I really like that. Plume Black Cat, you said, yeah, Smoker was just godly. Tashigi was a show-out performance as well. Netflix always does a great job with empowering women. Yeah, and the video that I'm kind of working on about the live action, I think I am going to end up releasing it. Sometimes I start a script and I'm like 50-50 on if I really want to like put in the work to like actually finish it, but I think I will for this one. And a big focus that of the video that I want to do is how the live action did things better than even the manga or anime did. Because there's a lot of examples of it, and I think Tashigi is one of the clearest examples of this, where she got a little more development. We learned more about her character in general in the live action, and then seeing her kind of a little bit of development, her actually getting one of the swords, right? I think that was just like, I feel like Tashigi already has more depth in the live action than she does in the entirety of the manga and anime. So so Tashigi was like a triple S plus tier for me. Smoker was pretty accurate, but he was just really good and was cool, you know, so I liked him too. But there was a lot of things from the season that I just kind of reflected on, like, I think I liked that better than the manga did. You know, Barto being in Logtown, which technically he was, but he was more involved in Logtown this time. Even some of the Laboon stuff. Wapple getting his fruit from Baroque Works. That is not canon at all, but it's kind of cool. I think it's weird that he already, you know, had the metal mouth and all that stuff before he even got that fruit, but I guess we don't really know the full story. So if Oda allowed it, I'm sure he's got enough reasons to make it work. So, yeah, there's a lot of changes that I really liked. Den Jadara, you said prediction, Elbaf time dilation confirmed somehow. That, I feel like if that's true, I feel like the way we're going to figure that out is going to be like, remember earlier when I talked about Shanks maybe returning to help fight Loki or to help do whatever? If Shanks were to return to Elbaf, then I think something like the time dilation idea would have to be true, because the logic would be like Shanks left and more time went by than we think. So maybe he was gone for like a month and we just didn't really know because Elbaf, the time moves slower. And so when he comes back, we're like, wait, why did you come back so quickly? But then Shanks is like, I've been gone for a month. I visited this place, this place, this place, and this place. I think that'd be like a cool way to reveal it and like give it some, you know, importance. And honestly, I hope it does come true. I don't know if the time dilation will, but I think it'd be a really cool addition to the story. Like that would make things very interesting. Plume Black Hat, you said Morge wasn't feeling Logtown. I think he explained he felt the scene directing was wonky, but he didn't like Logtown episode. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't watch his video, but I did see it. And like, you know how if you're on, at least on TV, or maybe I think it's on the computer too, if you hover over the video, it'll start playing so you can get like a little bit of a preview. I watched the preview part and I forget exactly what he said, but I know he was getting at that like a lot of stuff he didn't like, but there was one episode he really liked. I remember he said that. So I might have to go watch and hear his reasons, but I loved Logtown. I thought my least favorite episodes were the Little Garden ones. There was some directing there that I felt like was a little weird, and also there was a lot that I liked though, like Sanji in the wax house and stuff was cool, but I thought the Unluckies looked amazing. They were hilarious. But I also thought it was weird that they switched up Dory and Brogy, right? Like, because Dory got fully encased in the wax in a different, like, in that cave thing. But then Brogy didn't get covered in wax at all, right? Like, he was just injured in, like, that area. And it was just like a change that I felt like was kind of weird and, like, wasn't really... I don't know what the point of it was. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really... I guess that, like, you got to have Brogy involved more by not putting him into wax, but I just felt like it was a little weird, you know? I don't know. It wasn't bad. I was just kind of like, it feels like we're changing it just to change it, as opposed to changing it for, like, a really, really strong reason that I like more than the original, you know? Baked Bread, you said Law needs to get back because of the immortality operation. That's a good point. I feel like that's something we are not talking about enough, where, like, you know, we got all these people who are, like, immortal or eternally youthful, I guess is maybe the more appropriate way, because, like, there's... If you live for... Like, living forever and regenerating from damage are both, like, immortality, but they're different, right? But at least Law could very well, you know, be tied... Not that Law specifically, but his fruit could be tied to the non-aging part of it, for sure. And I don't know if that means that Law is going to be involved in, like, undoing an operation to, like we know that the surgeon has to give up their life to do the eternal youth surgery, but I wonder if it works the same in the reverse. I don't want Law to die, but that would be kind of interesting if, like, the only way to take out Imu was, like, undoing that at some point. Den Jadara, you said, can we talk about how horrifying the live-action Den Den Mushis are? They are. I like them because they should look grotesque. You know, like snail phones. That's just like they shouldn't look cute, you know, but they do look horrifying for sure. Especially the ones that were, like, damaged. Like, that was just, it was honestly kind of sad. I've never really felt bad for the Den Den Mushis before, but after the live action, I kind of do. Dexter, you said I've still only seen the first 2 episodes. Well, they're so long. Well, you may be getting a few spoilers here or there, and I apologize for that. Although there's not a whole lot. I mean, you obviously know most of the events. There's really not a whole lot to spoil, I feel like. I guess we've already talked about a lot of the things that are, like, technically spoilers because they're different from the original, but the Logtown Sorry I'm Dead was better in the live action, in my opinion. I might have to go watch it again. I wasn't I wasn't really here nor there on that scene. I felt like it was okay. I felt like Buggy exploding from the lightning was a choice. Like, it was funny, but, like, that's such a serious moment in the story. That's all I could think about in that scene is Buggy exploding. As far as, like, Luffy saying actually, like, sorry I'm dead, I think I prefer the manga / anime, but I'm not really here nor there on it. I could go either way. Also, Will of Dreams, yeah, I did want to mention this too. And Dexter, this is a little bit of a spoiler for the live action. Well, like, it's not like a massive plot point, but it is a little bit of a spoiler. Dory had 3 wooden figures in Little Garden, and one was the silhouette of Loki that we saw from Whole Cake, and then Brogy, and then Nika. So it's just a little Easter egg, you know. It's kind of interesting, though, if you really want to go into, like, the theory part of it. It's interesting because, like, Dory and Brogy didn't even meet Loki. unless somebody visited their island and told them that Loki was born and who he is, they don't even know that he's a thing, right? Because they've been stuck on this island for 100 years. So I think that's kind of funny. I like to think that like Shanks told them or something, like he went over and visited them and gave them the update, you know, something like that. But it is interesting. It is interesting. And Dexter, you said the change with Luffy dancing for Laboon was really nice. Yeah, that was a top tier change. Like, actually, Oda did an interview, and Iñaki asked him, like, what are some of your favorite, forget the exact question, but I think he said favorite changes or just favorite things from season 2. And the first thing he said was Luffy dancing and singing to bring Laboon back up. That was the first thing he said. So, you know, Oda approved. And honestly, looking back at it, it might make more sense for Luffy to, you know, sing that song that he already has a connection to and to have that cool sentimental moment, as opposed to Luffy hurting Laboon. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of endearing the way the fight happened, because it's not like Laboon's life was ever in danger, but like, yo, stabbing him with the mast and then punching him in the eye and all that, like, you know, maybe it is a little bit better for him to do the singing and dancing, you know. Yeah, it's like that's one of the best scenes for me, like, especially like change wise. I honestly think that's something that if Oda were redoing the story today and he got to redo every single thing if he felt like it, he would probably make that change and have Luffy dance to get Laboon back up instead. Plume Black Hat, and this will probably be my last one, then I gotta go because the Cavs game starts in like 15 minutes, so I gotta go get some things ready. But Plume Black Hat, you said, Dak, in your view, do you think Oda still revises planned scenes or future beats based on how he experiences from different projects, live action or the anime, etc.? I would say so. I think it all depends, like, on the degree to what he's changing it. Like I don't know if there's, like, you know, major plot changes that he's ever going to make, because I think he's had the story kind of on lock from day one, right? So I think for the most part, like, the major story beats are the same. But I do think, like, sometimes he, you know, gets cooking on something, or people maybe are super receptive to something in the live action or the anime or something, and then he thinks, well, how can I incorporate that person into this? Or, you know, how do I maybe change that scene so X, Y, or Z can you know, be there and do this? Or maybe there's even sometimes where he wasn't gonna have like a big moment for a certain character, but then after they become super popular, he's like, all right, maybe I need to find a better end place for that character because everybody likes them so much. I think those kind of things definitely happen. Like you know, like Law is I think is a good example where when he got introduced into the story, he like very quickly became a fan favorite, right? And I mean, and it kind of helped where, like, I mean, he's a cool character in and of himself, but he also saved Luffy from Marineford and stuff, right? And so I could easily believe that Oda wasn't going to have Law be so central to the post-time skip era of the story, but after seeing how popular he was, then I think Oda started thinking, like, well, maybe I can have Law be involved in all this too, so that way people are happy, right? I think that kind of stuff happens, but I don't think he changes, like, major plot points, though. So I don't know if I answered the question well enough, but that's kind of how I view it. I think he's very receptive to scenes and characters that we are fans of, because, I mean, he knows he's writing... I mean, he's writing his story for him, but he's also writing for us, right? Like, he knows, you know, we are his audience, so I think he does pay attention to those things for sure. For sure. Bean Boy, you said, Manga Luffy just loves violence. That's so true. It is scarily true. Quack Wars, you said, all right, thanks for the stream. Hope my prediction comes true. Yarl got to get his moment. Good night, y'all. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that's all the way at the top for a reason. So if that happens, you're definitely going to get a shout out. And if any of this other stuff happens, definitely I will. I'll bring this back up in the stream. I know, like I think I said or I said earlier in the stream, the last time somebody had a prediction come right. I didn't actually put it on the list, but they said it during the stream, which is pretty cool. So hopefully we get some more right. I really enjoy doing this because it's just a chill, nice time to talk about the future of the story and stuff. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you, but I'm signing out because the Struce is loose today. Max Struce is back. Time to go watch my Cavs beat up on the Mavericks for the second time in 3 days. But thank you all for being here. And let's see. I might do a stream tomorrow about just the live action. I'm not sure. I'm either going to do my video and that video will count, or if I don't do the video, we're going to do a live action only stream tomorrow. So it'll be one or the other. So be on the lookout for that. But obviously we'll be doing the chapter reaction later in the week. So you have that to look forward to. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate you. Most importantly, stay safe. The world ain't getting any safer, unfortunately. So